wanted to redo my Predator costume so it would look a little better, so I did a whole bunch of modifications to it, and this is what I came up with. Now, it's mounted on a mannequin that I made out of PVC pipe and bubble wrap, so it doesn't look quite the way it would if I were wearing it. I fill it out a lot more than the mannequin does, so this would all be filled out a lot more. And the other thing is that the mesh suit that goes underneath the armor, I couldn't fit that on mannequin because these arms don't move, so it's not on here. If I were actually wearing the suit, there would be a mesh bodysuit over the skin, and this armor would all go over top of it, but it's not there right now on the mannequin. Now, most of the suit is just made from parts that I scrounged up here and there, so it didn't really cost a whole lot of money. It took me a couple of weeks to do all the modifications and put it together. Let's start at the bottom and work our way up. I have these rubber monster feet. They were really, really big, and it made it hard to walk in them, so what I did was cut the front part off, and that fits over my foot. And on top of that, I have this piece of armor, and this is a knee pad from lacrosse or hockey or something or other. I don't remember what, but I painted that, and it goes over top of my foot. The shin armor is just shin guards, and I don't remember if they were bicycle or lacrosse or whatever, but I just looked around for some shin guards that looked pretty cool and painted them silver and put them on there. The loincloth armor is made from some rubber car floor mats that I found. It had that ribbed kind of look to it that I liked, so I just cut those out and glued them to a belt. Hung that on there. And I used the same floor mats for part of the chest armor, and that's glued onto an old set of football shoulder pads that I glued a couple of things on, dressed it up a little bit, and painted the whole thing silver, so that looks pretty good. The shoulder armor is some more shin guards that I found that I felt looked pretty cool, and painted those all up. The gauntlets I made out of 2 plastic boxes, and what I did was attach some plastic for sale sign to make a sleeve, and this is the computer bomb gauntlet. This is a flat piece of plastic with some holes punched in it, and I used some foam to make little windows here. There's actually a red LED light inside here, and I can pull this out, turn that on, put it back in, and it makes these holes light up. On the other wrist we have the blade gauntlets, and it's made the same way. This is a plastic box, and these blades are cut from plastic. What I did was glued them to a smaller plastic box that fits inside this one and slides back and forth, and that way the blades can extend and retract. And I dressed that up with some greeblies on the outside here so they look better. The skin is made from a Superman, Muscle Man Halloween costume, and what I did was painted it all up, made it a little bit dark, put some of these black spots all over it to give it that Predator skin kind of look. Now, if you want to be really high-end about it, you can paint this whole thing over with liquid latex before you paint the pattern onto it, and that gives it kind of a shiny skin reptilian kind of look. It looks really, really good. The problem with it is that, first of all, it's really, really heavy, and the other thing is that it traps body heat in. You become basically a walking heat trap. And I live in Florida, so being in a suit that's going to overheat you in 10 minutes is not a good idea. So I left it plain cloth so that I can dissipate body heat and catch a breeze from a fan or something and cool off a little bit while I'm wearing it. But even though it's still really, really hot wearing this thing. The cannon is made from a couple of cardboard tubes. There's one tube running this way and a wider tube running this way. What I did was glued them together and then glued on a whole bunch of stuff for decoration. This is just a strip of foam rubber. There's one on each side, and I covered that with some plastic swizzle sticks. And this is a piece of sump pump tube that I cut in half and glued on top there. These are lids from a Pringles potato chip can that I cut into like a cogwheel kind of pattern and glued that on there, and then I painted the whole thing over silver. The other thing I did to modify this is to add a part on the inside. What I do is I have a tube that slips inside here, and there's an LED light. Now the way this works is that there's a plastic bottle cap attached to the end here, and on the inside of it there's a little blue LED light, and on the back side is this battery, and I ran the wires through a little hole in the cap, and there's one wire on each side of the battery, and when you press those together, that turns the light on. So what I do is, when I want to turn it on, is slide the tube out of the cannon and then take a piece of tape and tape it down so the LED comes on, and then I slide it back in, and I have this little swizzle stick glued on the inside here, and that stops this tube from sliding out. The mask is a Ruby's costume mask that I bought online. When you first get it, it doesn't look particularly good, but if you modify it a little bit, you can make it look better. This outer mask is made from really thin plastic, so one thing I did to modify it was add a couple of LEDs to the inside for the laser sights. And what I did was put the battery on the inside and ran the wires to the LEDs, and then put the wires through the mask and put the push button switch on the outside so I can reach up and turn the lights on and off. The other thing I did to modify it was to glue a magnet to the inside of this outer biomask, and then on the inside of this mask there's a magnet glued to the inside of it right here, so that when you put the other mask over top of it, the two magnets lock together, and it keeps that outer mask from falling off. The other bad thing about the Ruby's mask is that it comes with these tubular plastic dreadlock thingies that look really awful. So what I did was pull those out and made some dreadlocks of my own to replace them. And I made these from something called caulking tube, which is a soft, spongy foam rubber kind of thing. It's made for filling in big cracks when you're plastering walls or caulking corners. So you can get it in a hardware store, or you might have to order it. I got this online. What you're going to do is, everywhere you want to put a dreadlock, you're going to cut a slit through the mask, and then just stick the end of it through there about an inch or so, and that'll hold it into place. You don't need to glue it in or anything. And these tubes are 5/8 inch thick. So then for these hair braid thingy mobobs, you just take some 1/2 inch PVC pipe and cut it into little sections and paint it gold, and then slide it up over the end, and that makes a set of dreadlocks that looks pretty good. Then the last thing is the backpack that holds the plasma cannon, and this is just made from some plastic for sale sign that I cut the pieces out, glued them all together, used some 3-dimensional fabric paint to make these seams on it, and then added a piece of hose to fit. There's a wooden shaft that runs from here down inside the backpack to hold the cannon there, and this tube just goes over top of that to make it look a little bit better. So there it is, my finished Predator costume.